Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye, bye. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So, Raza and blacks, prison fights in the state of California. Which group wins? Because only one group could win. Ultimately, anytime you're in war, anytime you're in battle, anytime that you're going at it, on that prison yard, only one group is victorious, period. I don't care who you are. If it's blacks versus whites, blacks versus browns, browns versus whites, brown versus brown, black versus black, there's only going to be one group victorious every single time. And I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. See, there's been a lot, this narrative that's been running around YouTube lately and social media is pitting black versus brown, right? There's a big thing going around. Who's more racial? Who wants to be like who? Who's trying to be like who? Who's stealing the other person's culture, right? At the end of the day, all cultures are beautiful, and you can learn a lot from a brother. You can learn a lot from an essay. You can learn a lot from a good old wood, right? Everybody has something to offer if you're willing to accept the fact that we all need each other at some point in life, right? There's a lot of people that are stuck in their ways and they're culturally biased. They're not culturally racist. They're not culturally prejudiced. They're culturally biased. Now, those are three different words: bias, racist, and prejudice. Okay, if you're prejudiced against something, you might think, I don't want to do that, right? I have my reasonings behind the reason I don't want to do that. I might not want to sag, or I might not want to wear a do-rag, or I might not want to say the N-word. That's biased, right? Or prejudiced. When it comes to being biased, ain't no way. I'm not going to do that. I'm opposite of that. That ain't me, right? I'm biased against that. And it's pretty much the same thing as prejudice. There's a reasoning within me why I won't do that. Racist, well, that's just some old other shit. That's hating on the fact because of a culture or because of a pigmentation of skin or because of whatever reason you have. That just doesn't come naturally. You were either raised that way or that's instilled in you, right? But every black man, every brown man, every white man are not racist. They don't hate the other group. In fact, there's some that try to adapt to the other group because that's the way they were raised. That's like if you have a white man or a brown man that was raised in a black neighborhood. Well, guess what? He's probably going to be saying the N-word. He's probably going to be acting a certain way, not acting black, but acting, out on what he sees around him in his environment. And he'll get a lot of ridicule from that, from people that are racist, right? They'll probably give him more ridicule than anyone else because it'd be like, why are you trying to act like something you're not? They're not acting like something they're not. They are that. They are a product of their environment. And that is the way they were raised. And don't hate on them because their mama fucking moved there. That's just how that goes. Anyways, right? With all this shit going around on the internet of people trying to pit black versus brown, that's the hot thing right now. That's the hype thing right now. Everyone's talking about Lucky from Hood Stocks and what he said. And yeah, I didn't hold no punches when I said it was a derogatory statement made in haste and bad timing, right? If that's how that man talks, if that's what he wanted to say, that's what he wanted to say, man. I didn't think he's a racist person, but I think he said something he shouldn't have. Now, there's a lot of brothers that I see online, man, using the word beaner and other words like it ain't no thing. It rolls off the tongue smooth, right? And they were upset. They were upset with that derogatory statement, so they made their own. All you can do is accept it, whether you like it or not. Unless you're willing to do something about it, then you just don't speak on it, right? To me, I see it for what it is, man. There's a lot of people that are misinformed, misdirected, and just trying to stir up tension between the black and brown communities because there's money in it. All of a sudden, people wanted to fight, people wanted to tussle, people wanted to fucking put hands on each other for a bag. People wanted to speak on it for a bag in the views. Nothing came free, and no one's going to do nothing that goes free. And it doesn't matter if it's behind race, it doesn't matter if it's behind who's better than who or all that, because at the end of the day, no one is better than anyone, right? None of that shit really matters. And yes, there are a bunch of fucking brown men running around, man, adapting to the black culture and saying the N-word and doing a certain thing. Yes, and I know the brothers see that, and I see that too. And I always say, man, love your own. Love your people. Never forget where you come from. Learn your culture before you can go love anyone else's. But that doesn't mean I'm racist. That doesn't mean I'm prejudiced. I just want to be an educator and educate people into, you can't truly know who you are and who you're trying to be like if you don't know your background and where you come from and your history. That's just it. So back to prison, which is somewhere I don't ever want to go to. I've seen a lot of fights between different ethnicities, but not as much as the movies will tell you. You're not seeing black and white riots every day in the California prison system. You're not seeing black and brown riots every day in the California system. But when you do, they go off. And what group always wins? See, there's one group that always wins no matter what. Period. This group has been winning since the beginning, right? And I'll give you the facts. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not going to add preservatives. I'm going to tell you guys straight up. And this is a brown man doing this. And there's going to be people that get mad at me because I keep it real and I state facts. But the fact is, man, hey, I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't keep it fucking real. So let me tell you guys, when it comes to black and brown, there's very, very minimal drama in the California prison system between black and brown. Why? Because everything is divided amongst racial lines. And it's not because there's a whole bunch of racists running around on that yard that don't want to fucking kick it with each other. It's because the political DNA and makeup of that yard is written and carved in stone, so that way there's less drama, less conflict, less problems. See, the last thing anybody wants on a California prison yard is drama. Everybody wants that yard running smooth. Everybody wants their packages. Everybody wants whatever incentives they got coming, right? They want their due process. They want anything that they're eligible for as a convict, that they have coming, they want it. Visitation, packages, canteen, any other programs that are provided, right? Anytime that they can get out of that cell and be on that yard working out and forgetting about what they're going through, their hardships, right? Everybody wants that. So the last thing anybody on any prison yard wants is drama. Now, there's going to be drama to a certain degree, and usually that's handled within your own car, within your own people, right? Sometimes people just cannot walk that yard and are not able to be on that yard anymore due to circumstances that they've signed up for and they put themselves in. Now, don't get it wrong. There is some dirty macking and dirty politicking that happens within every group, and sometimes guys get pushed out of the way due to debt, due to drugs, due to money. Usually it's behind money. And that's just life. That happens on the streets. And that also happens in prison, even though it's a different world. So usually that's handled within their own car, no matter what ethnicity you are, no matter what group or gang you're from, right? And that's just that. That's called prison life. That's the yard you're walking. Because you couldn't hang on the yard on the streets. So you chose to go to that yard, and now you have a whole different animal to deal with. So you're going to see a lot of conflict within each other's zone, a lot of removals, a lot of stabbings. Look at every time you see a prison murder, it always happens within the same group, right? You see a white guy murdered, you already know it's white people that did it. You see a brown man hit, brown people did it. Blacks jumped on and hit, blacks did it. It's very rarely you see a black man killed by a Mexican or vice versa, or white and black. Very rare, right? And when it goes down, it really goes down. See, the way I was educated and it was instilled was this. If it gets to that point where two groups racially have to go at it from different ethnicities, not different races, because we're all the same race, but if you have to go at it with a different group, then it's going to be big, it's going to be swift, and it's going to hurt. And everyone is going to suffer the repercussions of the actions, right? It's just how it is. You know, Southsiders get off with the blacks. It's going to be bad, man, on both sides. Northerners get off with the blacks or the South side, it's going to be bad. Whites, it's going to be bad, right? Someone's getting stabbed. Someone's getting hurt. That's just prison. I'm going to tell you guys a story. The one and only time I ever was almost caught up in a racial conflict based upon race, based upon, and I get, like I said, there's only one race, the human race, but the way people like to categorize it, right? Based upon color of skin, based upon a culture, based upon all that. I was in Fred C. Nellis in CYA. It was 1993. I'll never forget. And up until that point, on the compa we were on, compa meaning building, right? It was the majority Southerners, Southsiders there. There was about 7 or 8 Northerners there. We had adapted to the point where we were doing our time there amongst the Southsiders. We had went through the riots. We had went through the fighting one-on-ones. There was still things happening in the blinds one-on-ones. But we were there. We were established. Our flag was planted. We weren't going anywhere. Administration wasn't sending us anywhere. The Southsiders just had to deal with it. Unfortunately for us, they kept throwing waves of people at us. Anytime a new Southerner pulled up to the building, he had to fight a few of us. It just was constant and consistent. Now, we didn't have any alliance with the brothers, the Crips and the Bloods. And there was probably maybe 20 Crips in the building and a couple Bloods. Bloods were always up short. Power! They were up short, right? Southsiders, probably about 40 to 45 of them. And like I said, about 8 of us. And then sprinkling just like a couple white guys, right? Up until that point, we were cool with the brothers. We didn't have an alliance, but there were some instances where brothers were like, fuck this, man. We got your back. They were tired of seeing us jumped on and battery packed in the school area, things like that. So a lot of the brothers, not all the brothers, man, but some of them would be like, hey, just walk with me, bro. If they get off on you, they got to go through me, right? And I respected that. I'll never forget it. Like, I'll never forget it, man. But that's the way that was. But it wasn't consistent. It wasn't always. There was sometimes brothers would walk right over us. Like, that's SA problems. That's Mexican problems. And it was none of their business. So I didn't hate them for that because I understood. Some chose to go out of their way and some chose to mind their own business. And in jail and prison and the youth authority, minding your own business will get you further than getting involved in someone's mix. That's just the truth. There was plenty of times I wish I could have minded my own business, but I couldn't because I was being targeted every day. So I had no animosity personally towards the brothers, but I understood that everybody moved differently and that when one group got numbers or became the majority in a building, they seemed to change, right? And it went for everybody, Southerners, Northerners, it didn't matter who, right? So in this particular building, we're all chilling. There was a few Bulldogs at the time. They had just split from us, but they haven't yet segregated them, right? So they had their little corner. We were doing our thing. Southerners, of course, had their rows of chairs, and brothers were there. Well, what happens, a lot of the Southerners started to get shipped out up north or to YTS or to Paso or to wherever they were going. And they started to bring in a lot of brothers by the boatload, right? They was bringing 3-4 brothers tonight, 3-4 brothers tomorrow. So where it kind of flipped, where the Southern, now up until that point, there was no tension, no drama. Even though the Southsiders had the majority of the numbers, there was more tension between North and South than Black and South, right? There was skirmishes and little fights here and there, but it wasn't nothing major. It was normal. Nobody was being treated differently. Now, the DNA and makeup of this building, there was 2 TVs. One TV was a Spanish-speaking TV because we had paisas there. So it was kept on Spanish channels, Univision, whatever other Spanish channel was on, right? That's what it was kept on. The other TV was, we'd watch TV shows. We'd watch Soul Train every Saturday. That was a mandatory must. And look, everybody watched it, black, brown alike. Everybody wanted to hear the good music. Everybody, it just is what it is. It wasn't no one trying to act black or no one trying to act brown, because I don't know how do you try to act black or brown. I've never adapted to that, acting something. You either are or you ain't, right? But everyone liked to see I'll Be Sure and fucking Bell Biv DeVoe, Poison. And back then it was fucking nothing but a G thing and whatever, right? We were all chilling. So what would happen was on a Saturday morning, you'd have the Spanish channel going, man, and you have the paisas and the few Southerners that spoke Spanish right there chilling. And then on the other side, you'd have Soul Train and everybody would be watching it, bumping and whatever. So as the brothers started to become the majority, and this was like a week flip where it just flipped. All of a sudden, man, it became more of a little bit of a different atmosphere. People were walking on eggshells. The brothers was being a little bit louder, a little bit rougher, right? And I'm not saying they were acting out of character. They just was happy they had the numbers finally, and they were going to push their weight around a little bit. These dudes that were coming didn't understand the mentality of what this fucking building was like before they got there. So they were bringing an edge. They were bringing something different. They was like, fuck that. We got the numbers. We ain't going to let these essays dictate nothing, right? But it wasn't about dictating no program. It was just about the way it was going, and it was good that way. So one day we go out to the building, and the brothers, man, they done changed both TVs to Soul Train, which I didn't mind because I sat on that other side and I had to fucking look far anyways, right? And I didn't have glasses. So shit, to me, it was cool. But the Southerners was tripping. They were like, hey, that's our TV. That's for Mexicans. You know, they literally kind of made it a racial thing. I'm going to be honest, right? And the brothers was not feeling that. They were like, man, we got brothers that sit over there. They can't see it. And they said, well, why didn't you say that sooner? A long time ago, we could have came to some type of agreement. Anyways, it got talked out. We all watched Soul Train. It was good. But the next time it was kind of like, if you touch our TV, it's on and cracking, right? You're not going to disrespect the people that watch this TV, just like we wouldn't do that to you. Whatever, right? All I know is there was a Southsider that came onto the yard. The Bulldogs had their little corner. We're doing our thing. And I was tripping. Big old dude when he came walking up. He was from Calexico, right? He had it blasted on his shit. Big motherfucker. He was like 20-something years old. I'm a youngster, like 13, 14, looking at him like, what the fuck? And he comes walking up and he's like, hey, these brothers, man, they want that. These blacks, you know, they're getting a little crazy. Are you guys down to go with the Raza? Now it wasn't a north-south thing. Now throw all that out the window that we're getting battery packed every day in the school area, jumped on. You know what I'm saying? People trying to go in our lockers and steal shit. It wasn't that no more. Now it was, hey, you guys are brown. You got our back. We talked amongst ourselves. It was like, yes. Okay. Because we were true believers in our people. That was our whole struggle. Even though our people, we believe, were from up north, we were still brown. That was always our stance. Hey, we're just like you, bro. We just lived in a different place. Motherfuckers wasn't hearing that though, right? Anyways, we told them that, but our whole plan was, look, once we get off with them, we have to look at the bigger picture. Brothers is going to start targeting us, especially because we don't have the numbers. Now we're going to be fighting Southerners and brothers everywhere we go. No can do, no siree, right? So our whole plan was, when it kicked off, get off and then get off on the Southerners, right? That was our little plan. We were stupid. We were young. We thought we were fucking going to beat everyone up. But this ain't the movie fucking Blood In, Blood Out where Miklo wins and kills everything. But that was our mentality. Well, thank God the riot never happened. A brother got there, monster from Shotgun Crip. Big old dude, was cool. He knew what time it was. He did time around Southsiders and Los Padrinos and Silmar and Central. And like, he just been everywhere in the juvenile hall system with a lot of good Southsiders. And so they talked and everything got figured out and TVs didn't get touched no more and everything was cool. And thank God, man, we escaped that one because it would have been drama for Northerners with everybody. I say that to say this. It was over something as frivolous as a stupid-ass TV that became racial. And yes, it was the Mexicans that made it a racial thing because the brothers wasn't changing the TV to say, we're changing it because we don't want to see Spanish. They were changing it so that more people could watch the show we were already all watching. That's just a fact, right? I keep it real. So back to prison and nowadays. And things that I've seen a lot of incidences. And I see one group that wins all the time. Okay, so I know people are going to probably be upset with me. They want to know what group wins. Is it the blacks? Is it the browns? Is it the whites? Who wins all the time? Because only one group does. It's none of them. The cops win all the time. Anytime black and brown or any other ethnicity is going at it over those yards, the CEOs, the administration wins. You are doing what they want you to do. You are fighting each other. You're the same, baboso, right? Just like fucking what's his name? Cruzita's mom said, "Who you fighting, Joey? You're fighting yourselves." Anytime black and brown fight on that yard, Raza versus blacks. Anytime there's tension, you don't win. The administration wins because that's the way that they can reiterate to the judges and to the court system that these are all animals. These are all these black and brown people. They're no good. That's all they do is fight amongst their own. This is the way they spin it. Okay. And you ruin each other's visitation and you ruin each other's lives and people die. And it's made to look racially motivated. And it doesn't matter who started it, man, because it's usually started over a disrespect one way or the other. And the administration wins every time. They lock your ass down. They take away your canteen, your visits. You got nothing coming. And it makes people think, damn, the blacks and browns don't know how to act. And even whites, like, nobody wins. Anytime there's a fight on the yard, the administration gets what they want. That's why when the end of hostilities happened, the administration was so upset because they seen black and brown and white and different gangs and groups coming together for one goal, right? And that was to stop the oppression that was being done by the system. And when they came together and they started to function on these yards hand in hand and be able to bypass the bullshit, what happened? The administration started to send PCs with actives, you know what I mean? They started to put tension on those yards. Where there was no more tension, they created tension because they want the black and the brown community slammed back. They don't want them to be able to function on them yards. They don't want unity. So anytime we're sitting here on the internet or within prison or anything and talking shit to each other and being her this and booty scratcher that and whatever anyone is saying, and I can say it, I'll say it, fuck it, right? When people are saying this back and forth, guess what? You're doing exactly what the administration and the big wigs want, and that's creating a tension amongst each other. We should be united. But again, like I said, not right off the top. We have to learn ourselves first. You have to work on your community first. Then you get community leaders, gang leaders, whatever leaders you want, right? Whoever you see eye to eye with as your leader to come together and sit at a table and say, you know what, instead of fucking fighting for a bag and making these videos disrespecting each other for a bag, maybe we should show a little bit of respect for each other's cultures and not about who's trying to be like who and y'all essays is trying to be black or you brothers, man, want to be like, no, it ain't none of that. Everyone is who they are, and every man will be judged and held accountable on his own. Just like when you go to prison, you're by yourself. No matter if you have homeboys and you run with the group, ultimately, when you close your eyes that night on that bunk, it's you. There's only one man on that bunk unless you're into that type of shit. And there are some YouTubers, I'm sure, that are, right? I'm just saying. The administration always wins. If I'm bullshitting, if I'm lying, I'm dying, man. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly and honestly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people, no matter what color you are, man. I'm not a racist person. I've been called that. I've been accused of that. But that's furthest from the truth. You know what I am? I'm just a man trying to get by. I don't give a fuck if I'm brown, black, white, green. You know what I'm saying? I have my own flavor, my own swag, my own. I'm not trying to act black. I'm not trying to act brown. I'm a brown man with some black friends listening to black music. Again, here's the thing. Black music. I said that for this. There is no such thing as black music. All music is good music, right? Music is music. One dude checked me yesterday. Oh, you're listening to black music, but you don't like us. I said, it was me and a black chick right there on the thing. She was like, damn. I was like, yeah. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but let's bump this guy though. I like, right? That's all I know. Anyways, like I said, man, thank you guys. That's the only ones winning. Open your eyes up, realize what's going on. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors out there in Central California, man, Northern California, the Central Valley. Tap in Turlock, man, at the Vario Liquors and go get you something cold to drink. And also out there in Arizona by Sticks and Stones Yard Service. If you're in the Arizona area and you need someone to come do your yard professionally and correct, man, Google Sticks and Stones Yard Service. He gonna pull up. Bang, bang.